Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Krista White. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Crow Canyon, and I'm joined today by our VP of Product Development, James Restivo, and we're excited to talk to you about, we've got an overview for you of the new Nitro features. We've had a lot of new things coming out lately, so we wanted to take a moment to just kind of give you a good scoop on everything that's new, everything that's going on. Now, a couple housekeeping things before we dive into it. I'm excited, but I want to make sure I don't forget. If you do have questions, make sure to use that question box there on the right-hand side. We're here for you. This is meant to be an interactive meeting here. So if you have questions, go ahead and pop them in. We can unmute you to talk, or you can just type in. Either way works for us, but we are here for you. So go ahead and use that box. And this will be recorded, so it'll also be posted on our YouTube channel and on our website. So if you have questions or want to go back and reference this in the future, we'll have it up on the site tomorrow. And I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to James. James, I'm so excited to see everything that's new here. What do you have to show us?
Yeah, we've got a few, some great new features that we've put out into NITRO Studio. Of course, one of the big things is the look and feel, which I'll walk through on that. So I think it puts things in a better place for you to access the things you need to access. But a few other things we've released over the last month or so with update to how people picker fields are used. I think you're going to find that a really valuable add for the people picker side of things. I'll just walk through a few other updates we've had, and certainly if there's anything we don't cover that you're interested in, let us know, chat or question box, and just say, hey, I saw this on your release notes or this on your version log, and I was hoping to learn a little bit more about it. I'll speak to it the best of my ability. There's a lot of minutia in NITRO that gets released, little bug fixes here and there. So I'll definitely answer whatever questions you bring to me to the best of my ability. The other point I think I want to make is that I'm hoping to make this a kind of recurring type of event, sort of in addition to our version log, in addition to the release notes we put out there for the different versions of NITRO. I also want to try to have this kind of interactive session where it's a real kind of demo walkthrough of what are the new things we have in the site, so that you guys can see them, get informed about them, and also asking questions about how to, or why did you develop that, or what's the purpose behind it, or can you give me an example of that? So if there's something you want to get a little more insight into, certainly just let us know. We'll talk about that. But it's a high level. If the things we want to talk about today are the UI of the NITRO Studio. That's a big update we made. It doesn't impact the functionality so much, but it does give you a kind of a new look and feel, which you're seeing on my screen right now. And then kind of a lighter, more modern look. And then we'll talk about a few of the feature releases that do add some functionality to what you have going on. So with that, I'll go ahead and start with this interface you're seeing, which if you've updated NITRO Studio to the 2.5 version, that's our new new kind of numbering system, 2.5 dot whatever, 1, 2, 3. I think we're up to 3 now. We're going to be using that system. I made this point in the release notes, but I'll say again here, there is nothing between 2.0.0. I think it was a 2.0.0.89 was the last one, and then we jumped straight from there to 2.5.0.0. So there's no version in between. So if you feel like you're missing anything, you're not. We went straight to this UI, and we did the increase in that version number. It's really just a number, right? But we did that increase because we felt it was a pretty significant change to the way NITRO Studio is laid out and the way it looks. So I thought that was important, kind of jump in the versioning numbers. So with that, you can see the layout here. The icons look different. It's a much lighter look and feel. It's a much improved icons. I think it just looks better. We've also rearranged a couple of the apps around here where we've moved custom actions, kind of promoted it from being down here to more of a top level app up here. We also removed that portal link that used to be up here because we were doing portals one way when we first introduced NITRO Studio, and now we're doing them a different way. where it's more of a SharePoint site with NITRO web parts on it for a portal for applications. We used to have this concept of the Power Portal that I went through a whole webinar a few I don't know months ago, a year ago, or the different evolution of the portals with our programs. So you can look into that. But we finally removed that portal link from up here on the ribbon and just kept it to the main things that you guys are going to probably want to focus on most when you're accessing NITRO Studio. And so this is the page you're going to see when you go to NITRO Studio from a particular app, right, or from a particular site. So you go to you go into the site settings. One quick way to get there is if you go through to your site information and then go to view all site settings, you can open up the Canyon NITRO apps link here, and that's going to open up that page that we're looking at. So it'll take a minute to load. I'll just go back to this one because it's already loaded. We moved a few things around, so you're going to see the NITRO version for the site up here at the top. You're going to see this link here, which shows whether an update is available, which is what these arrows mean. So the yellow arrows in the circle mean there's an update available. If there's no update needed, it'll show, I think, a green check mark that just, that way your site is up to date for that particular site. You can see your subscription status up here at the top as well. So move those things up, and so you can get a better look at that. We removed the right-hand panel. There used to be a right-hand panel over here with some of these resources. We shifted that over to the left side, and so rather than 3 columns, you got 2 columns essentially. We also added in links here that we thought would be really helpful for you to manage your NITRO site, because it's not just about the NITRO components, right? So if you're in the context of SharePoint, you're going to want to access other parts of SharePoint. So you can go and configure the form or the action, but you might need to go to a particular list within your site and say, hey, do I have a list, or where's that list? So we'll give you a link to site contents, which is going to go directly to your site contents page of the site you're working from. Same with site settings. We can go straight to the site settings page, and you can get access to things like the top link bar, different kind of common elements of NITRO that you might need to access to configure things for your particular implementation. Site permissions as well, we thought it was important to add a link there, so that rather than going through different steps to get to it, you go to NITRO Studio, you can go straight to the permissions page, and you can see who has access to what. You can check permission levels. Of course, all this is still security trimmed by the fact that if you're a site collection administrator, you can see this stuff. If you have full control over the site, you can see this stuff. But others who don't have those levels of access won't see these things. They won't be able to get to this page. So we still have that in place. And we also put a link in here to your NITRO site settings. So this is another area that you would normally get to by going to site information, site settings, and you get to this. We just put a link directly to it from the app page itself, because we thought that was important to do. And this is where you can do, as you probably know, you can do certain things as far as connecting to different external applications like Twilio or Azure, Active Directory or DocuSign. You can also set up your security settings for portals and things like that from here. So I'll give you a link to that as well. So those, kind of really focus, the idea is kind of focus the effort and focus the attention on the things you need to do without all the extraneous stuff. Of course, you still have access to other links down here under resources for your workshops if you wanted to link over to, sign up for more of these. Our support resources, the version log that we have on our website, the release notes that we have, all that is linked in here on the NITRO Studio page itself. So if you ever need to get to it, want to see what's the latest version, I see we're on 2.5.2, what's going on with that version number. I haven't gotten it posted yet, but there's, you'll see that update here once it gets added in. And then quick links over to those other things. So really great stuff there. And I just really love the lighter look and feel of these icons. I just think they're really kind of lightweight and easy to see, easy to use. So it's a cool update. We made similar updates to the admin home page, which is where you can see all the sites where NITRO is deployed across a site collection. And moved a few links around. You can see there's that update available link over here, so you can go and update the sites from here. There's also an update all activated sites right up here that you can go and do that. We can manage multiple sites, or if you wanted to activate multiple sites or upgrade multiple sites at one time, you can select all, or kind of piecemeal select which ones you want to do. It gives you a way to update your sites without having to either update everything or do them one at a time. So we had that request from customers, like, how do I piecemeal update certain sites within my site collection? Maybe certain ones you want to keep at a lower version. In some cases you might have like a dev site where you want to make sure, not that we would ever release anything that's going to break things, but in case you want to test something on a site, you could upgrade that site, test it out, and then upgrade a production site, things like that. And in the rare, instance that you ever want to deactivate a site, we do have that. Much to my dismay, there is a deactivate site option in there as well. So if you ever need to deactivate a site. Then we've moved the subscription details around from the right to the left, so you see those over here. Again, you can see what's the latest version, what's my NITRO subscription look like, enterprise subscription or application subscription, what do you have in place? All that information should be over here. You get site permissions link in here as well to the root site level, so that gives you a way to control your permissions from the site collection level as well. And then you can see your subscription details. A lot of this is similar to what we've had before. This, I think I went through this a few workshops ago, where you could look at what your subscription status is, or what it looks like across all site collections. Now, just to be clear, we're only looking at site collections where NITRO has been deployed. We don't see any site collections where NITRO has not been deployed. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So you got all that link over here, all those options available. So that's the NITRO Studio look and feel. I think it's, like I said, it's really more about just changing the layout, changing how things look, maybe giving you better access to certain areas that you might frequently use. Certainly, if you have any feedback on things you want to see in here, or things that you think would make your life easier, certainly send that along. We'll happy to take the feedback. That's where we're going here. So I'm going to jump over from that into some of the other features we put out recently. And one of those features is where you can display your person and group fields as a dropdown. So right now we have our person and group fields as you type in a name and you select it. We can actually change that look and feel to be a dropdown, right? So if we edit this, you'll see it's got a new look and feel. It's not going to be your standard SharePoint person or group column. Now you've got some more options that we've added in here. So we can change it from multiple selection to single selection. We can display it as a people picker or a dropdown. So this is where it gets interesting. We can show it as a lot of selection of people or groups or both. That's pretty standard. And we can choose from all users or from a particular SharePoint group. And then we also have a way to, if you use the all users option, this is actually a really cool feature where you can associate it or have a parent person or group column that takes a group, like assigned team in our IT help desk, and limit dynamically who you can select in that people picker field. So instead of relying on selecting a particular SharePoint group and having that be static for that field for all time, you can now have that based on your form and the values in the form. You pick a group in this assigned team field or whatever field it is, and now your assigned staff field will be limited in the options available. So we can make it so that you have to have an assigned team field there in order to select anything, or we can make it so that you can select anyone even if assigned team is blank or your parent field is blank. So in practice, what that means, let's apply that. And we go to preview. In practice, what that means is if you're filling out a form and you fill out the assigned team field, which let's see, how to be help desk. Should have, yeah, okay, let me do help desk administrator. Now your assigned staff field is limited in who you can select. Let's see if I can, I don't think Chris is here, so if Pavan's in here. Do you have an option? I guess you can still see them, but ultimately what happens is, all right, I need to apply that actually. Let me apply first. There we go. All right, let's try that again. Yeah, there we go. So now it's shown as a drop down. And if I leave assign team blank, it's going to show all my users. But if I put in help desk administrator, it should now filter that drop down to only administrators, which in this case there are none, but normally you'd have people in those SharePoint groups to assign to. But you can see it's now giving you no options where previously you had all options available because it wasn't filtered. And this shows you that new look and feel of it being a drop down versus a person or group column. So you can do that. So it gives you that kind of sense of converting it into a lookup column essentially, where you could have a different interface or a different kind of interaction for your users with that form. So I thought that was a really cool addition we put in there for the site. I think really useful for our for a help desk, especially where you want to limit who gets assigned to tickets by who's in the assigned team. But certainly there's other options that you might want to deploy this as well. So use that option. Another thing we've added in here that I thought would be important to highlight is the ability to hide or show the ribbon for the form. So you could show the ribbon, you could hide the ribbon, you could collapse the ribbon, which is, as the note here shows, which might be a little small on your screen, but it says this setting will apply only in SharePoint Classic UI. So I'm not going to demo that right now because everything I have is in the modern UI, but if you're using the Classic UI in an on-prem environment or even in the Office 365 world, you could collapse the ribbon. But now have the option to show or hide it, and it just gives your form a kind of different, cleaner look. So for example, here's what the ribbon looks like in your, like in a ticket. You have all the options, you have the custom actions. You probably, in a lot of cases, want to display this stuff, you want to keep it there. But in other cases, you might want to hide this to make sure, maybe it's a read-only kind of field, or you don't want a person to accidentally hit delete on the item. Even though they might have the delete permission removed for their particular permission level, they might still see that delete field, and you don't want them to get access to any of these other things. So what ends up happening is when you hide that ribbon, it gets very reduced kind of look and feel. There is still an edit option here, but that ribbon essentially disappears. So you can do the edit, you can do the save, but all those other things like that delete button disappears, the send email button disappears. So you can, if you don't have a need for those things to be shown on the form, you could keep it very lightweight. This even, plays into the whole idea of having multiple forms for one list. You could have one form that shows the ribbon for certain users and another form that's available to like portal users that doesn't show the ribbon. So different ways that you can deploy that. So I thought that was a nice value add for the forms tool, is that you can not dynamically, but you can hide or show that ribbon when needed. Let's back into that. And the final thing I wanted to show today of the new releases we've had recently is in the NITRO Reports. We have a way to filter or kind of change up the way the reports are shown using custom scripting. So we've had options or requests to how do I show things differently? How do I display age in a different way? Like age of a ticket is being shown in a couple different ways here. We have tickets for 2 days, 2 to 4 weeks, or over 39 days. You can't get in one of our reports without having a custom script applied to it. So we've added a couple functions into the custom scripting options where you can, you can change up how the information is displayed on the form. You can see there's, we could have the different categories. Kind of walk from the top. I think the new function was, I know it's in here somewhere. Hang on a second. It's where am I seeing it? Oh yeah, there's like get order columns or something like that. Let me bring up my developer's notes. Hang on a second here. a get columns to fetch. There's a get columns to fetch function that we added in here that you could do through the scripting, and update list item values. So you can even update things. Yeah, get columns to fetch. There it is. So we added that possibility in there. So you could get columns that are not normally in the view and apply them to your form and or to your report. And, you have a few other options in here for pre-rendered charts, table value render. Some of it was already there, but we've added a few new things that would allow you to take it a step further with scripting to further customize what's possible with the reporting tool. So it goes, scripting is a little bit outside my element, so I apologize on some of that stuff. But if you're into JavaScript and you're into modifying, customizing your reports and things, certainly it's now possible to do those things. And if you have any questions on how do I render this or how do I do that, we're open to those questions and that feedback. So certainly welcome any of that, those questions. But really, those are kind of the main things I wanted to cover today on the new things we've put out there. If you look at our version log or release notes, there's really the version log. We've added a few other features. We can add cascading parent-child relationship on the same list within the same site, within the same list. So you could have a value in one item, filter other, like say tickets list. You want to show other tickets on the form in a lookup field. You can now filter that. We walked through this one, the ability to convert a person to group column, the hide or show ribbon. But there's also a few things we added in like as enhancements. Let me just increase the screen size here because it's probably pretty small. A few other enhancements where you can copy a value from a percentage column to a form event action, calculate business time. We can get USP user property. That's all in NITRO Forms. With the form event actions, we're continuing to improve those. We added that scripting enhancement here for the NITRO Reports. We've got the some enhancements in custom actions where you can use a me contextual value for the user collection function. We added support for getting group members and get SP user property for using for the join function expression builder. So if you're you can get group members and get SP user property, it kind of gives you another a level of functionality within the custom actions to get users from a group. We can copy attachments in an update item function now, so we've got a few of those things added in here. Then we for workflows, it's really just about parity between the NITRO Secure on-prem version and our online version. So we've added in a few of those features that we have in the on-prem version and or in the online version added to the on-prem version. And a few other little bug fixes and things like that. So we're continuing to work on these things, continuing to release new updates, and I should hopefully have an update for you soon for what's coming out with 2.5.2 and 2.5.3. I think it's 2.5.4 now. I'll be putting that information out there as soon as I can. And so so that's kind of the long and short of it. Let me see if there's any questions to address in the box, and it looks like there is a question about updating NITRO. The question is, when updating NITRO, it requires you to update web parts 1 and 2 and the site itself separately. There's a way to make it do all updating at once. That's great feedback. Good question. I think right now it is the way those web parts and the way those things are deployed, it's two separate processes, and clicking one button for the update on one site doesn't necessarily update the modern UI web parts. Those have to be, I think there's a separate button for that as is today. But that's a great question. I'm going to take that back to my dev team and see if there's any way we could make that more of an automated process. So when you update the site, you update those web parts as well. So thank you for that feedback. I'll take that under consideration. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I had today for the covering what's new and what's out there. And if you have any follow-up questions or you have anything that you want to see or any feedback or any feature requests, we're certainly open to those as well. But hopefully you find that's helpful. You know, we're constantly updating NITRO, constantly updating, adding new things to it. So if there's anything that's going to make your life easier, you know, send it our way. We'll take it under consideration and add it. You know, usually probably typically add it to the dev calendar unless there's some you know, glaring reason why it shouldn't be there.
Oh, James.
But yeah.
Before you go, you should mention we'll be at the Vegas show May 1st through 2nd, 3rd, May 2nd. It's only 2 weeks at the M365 conference. Both you and I will be there hosting a booth.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, make a point of that. We're going to be getting back on the road, taking the NITRO on the road with us. We're going to be going to you know, like my dad said, we're going to Vegas May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I think it is. And then we're going to be going to Washington D.C. in June. And then I think what's the next one after that? Is it September in Chicago?
There's one in Chicago at the end of October, early November. So that's quite a bit in the future, but we'll be in Chicago also.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to the European Collaboration Summit in Germany in May.
That's right.
Right after Vegas. So a lot of running around, huh? A lot of
Yeah, no, so if you get a chance to go to any of those shows, stop by the booth and say hello. We always love to meet our customers and chat with them on any challenges that they're having or you know, things that they want to see in the solution. So happy to have those conversations. But
what about our new governance options too? We might want to mention that to people. I know it's not part of NITRO Studio per se, but we link the governance to the NITRO help desk.
Right. Yeah, it's a kind of another thing we've been promoting through various webinars and whatnot, is that we have this you know, we work with Rencore governance, and they have a tool that we use it, and I find it very, very useful for seeing what's going on in your site as far as, you know, what's out of compliance. Do you have too many sites? Do you have like teams without owners? All that information. Sure, you can kind of piece it together through the admin center in Microsoft, but this brings it into one place where you can control what checks you want to see. You can control when a check is violated. If a check is violated, it'll send out a email that will create a ticket, and that could create a ticket in Crocania, of course, in our help desk. So you know, I think that is a pretty exciting partnership we have going on with them. I think it's a really nice value add for customers to see what's going on. And this would be applicable to Office 365 tenancies, where they can see, you know, you can see all the ins and outs of the teams that you have, the people who haven't changed passwords in more than 6 months, you know, things like that can all come to light through the Rencore governance tool. And so, you know, that is a really, thanks for mentioning that, because I think that is a really cool thing to offer to people and have as an option to work through us to get that deployed, you know, for their site. If you're interested in that, we're, you know, certainly open to setting up a one-on-one conversation about that Rencore governance tool, and so you can see what it's all about.
Yeah, and how it ties into our help desk too. We made an automation for that, so it makes a nice solution for people looking to keep their M365 and Teams environment in tip-top shape and not give extra money to Microsoft. That's what we always say. Because you can control you can see how many licenses or storage usage you're paying for that you don't really really need to.
Yeah, that reminds me, that's a really big component of it, is that you can see what Power Automate things might be driving up costs to Microsoft. You can see what Power Apps might be driving up costs with all the different, you know, that was a 46-page manual for licensing for the Power Automate Power Platform. It's like ridiculously complex. You need a PhD to understand it, and I don't even know if Microsoft fully understands their licensing model, to be honest with you. But this gives you an insight into you know, where you might be incurring costs that you don't want to. Maybe someone created a Power Automate, left the company, and now it's just running incessantly and costing you money every month. And now you can, with the governance tool, you can identify that and help save yourselves and help save your company some money. So yeah, I think it's a great value add. It's easy. You know, the value is really there for anyone to take a look at if they're interested in seeing that. And like I said, we'll set up a one-on-one conversation about it to show you what it's all about. And we use it internally. I think it's a great, you know, great tool. Yeah. So I guess that's about it. We'll have another one of these towards the end of May, middle to end of May, where we talk about what gets released over the next month or so. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about it, or you know, something right up in the release notes, or the version log isn't clear, you know, just shoot us a note, or we'll get it answered. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. And if you, if you have any follow-up questions, send them our way. And yeah, thanks again.